I don't think I cut anything. I think it came out basically the way it was, and I usually do a little bit of edits and stuff, but this one just came out really well. And so you see his life through three different timelines of him as a kid, him as a teenager, and him as a young adult. Um, and it's really dark, but I'm very proud of it. I think that's my favorite story in the book. That's the one I'm pushing out there as like the sample story. Um, and I wrote it, but I have trouble reading it without getting a little emotional.
Hi, this is Henry Chamberlain. Welcome again to another Comics Grinder. Today we have a really special treat. I've got Desmond Reed, and we're going to be talking about his latest Cola Pop Creemees book. And I wanted to start by thanking you, Desmond, for joining me.
Well, thank you so much. I'm giving you a thank you right back. I'm excited to be here.
Perfect. Okay, so we had chatted a little bit before we started. I'm going to be going through your latest book, The Horrors of Being Human. And so you have this continuation of the Cola Pop Creemeys saga, and you have five stories. And I hit one of the within the fun chapter. There's fun, there's lefty, there's memories, there's quiet, and there's sick. And I just leaped frogged over to fun, which I found just hilarious because it hits one of my favorite pet peeves. And I know people mean well, or they don't even thinking about it. It's just a mistake that happens when you're walking, minding your own business. You're like in a crowded city street where you think people would be alert, and they walk right into you, or they try to move to the side, and then you're moving as far away from them, and then they move into your line of vision again. What do you have you forgotten how to walk? That's how you feel in the moment.
I know. Keep to the right. Just always keep to the right.
Yeah. But then you have one character, uh, Mona. Try to explain it. Is it Ralph who's having the pet peeve moment?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Mona's trying to bring it, elevate the conversation. Say, well, we're all God's children, that sort of thing. And at the end, Ralph's not having any of that.
Yeah. With this book, so like when I started doing this comic, I was doing a page a day on Instagram, and it started off as sort of like these one page or a few page little like kind of gags or sort of like looks at small things in life like that, like just like why aren't you keeping to the right, and then it just evolved into kind of these bigger, sadder, kind of more emotional stories. And so for this book, I wanted to kind of recreate that. So that fun section that we're looking at right now, um, this is where sort of like those fun little like kind of human foibles are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does get dark, and it becomes quite a meaty story. I feel like I'm in a this major motion picture at times with memories,
Mm.
and you go back and forth at different moments in time, and you just assume the reader is going to have to keep up with you or figure things out, is because you don't explain everything,
Yeah.
and not that you'd want to. That takes away from the beauty of it.
That story, I mean, I've unabashedly said that's the best thing I've ever done, and it probably will be the best thing. It will be the best thing I've ever done. I just feel like with that one, it was just everything was firing on all cylinders, and it was a story that I'd want. So just for a little background for people who haven't read it,
Yeah, yeah.
so this is, these comics. It's about a band. It's five characters in the band. Each one kind of represents a different emotion, and so I wanted to do the backstory of kind of like the jokey clown, the funny one, and I wanted to go as dark as possible. Just what got him to this dark place, and I'd thought about it for a long time, and then putting pen to paper, it was one of those. Uh, it just came out so smooth, and I don't think I cut anything. I think it came out basically the way it was, and I usually do a little bit of edits and stuff, but this one just came out really well. And so you see his life through three different timelines of him as a kid, him as a teenager, and him as a young adult. Um, and it's really dark, but I'm very proud of it. I think that's my favorite story in the book. That's the one I'm pushing out there as like the sample story. Um, and I wrote it, but I have trouble reading it without getting a little emotional. I don't know if that's
Oh,
a good thing or a bad thing, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's a little bit of a chore navigating through this PDF, but not too bad. And I had landed on another segment, the neighbor's story, because you find just the right, organically, just the right time opportunity to introduce the characters. Like there's a segment in Neighbors where you get to introduce all the characters, and whenever it feels natural, of course you have we have the story first and foremost in mind, but then you also have the new readers coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted both. So this is the second book. There's another book out. I wanted both of them to be I wanted it to be okay for either one to be the first book someone read. Like this isn't a continuing narrative or anything. Like it's the same characters, it's continuing stories and everything, but you can read them out of order. You can read one and not the other. I hope people read both. Um, but yeah, it's remarkable. I mean, maybe you can relate to this too. It's remarkably challenging to introduce characters. That's sort of a hurdle. I hope I did a good job, but that is a real hurdle to. It's like when people write a pilot episode to a TV show. Like how do you show who this person is in like 5 seconds? Um, so hopefully I did that. I felt like Neighbors was a story that kind of showcased everybody in a certain way. But yeah, that's a hard thing to write. I don't know.
Yeah, I like to sometimes start a story in the middle and not even explain
Yeah.
who's who, and then one character will talk and say the name of the character, or something naturally will happen, and then the name is revealed, and then aspects of the character are revealed. That's one way, but
Yeah.
as you well know,
Yeah. No, that's a good way to kind of show, don't tell, just kind of let the story play out and let the characters do what they're going to do. But yeah, Neighbors is kind of an interesting. So that's a little segment and fun, but that was originally going to be in the first book and I just couldn't get it right. Um and so it was and it's not even like a it's a fun story. It's not really like a deep story or anything, but like I labored that I've never labored over a story more, and it's weird because if someone reads it, it's like, well, this is kind of just funny. But I think it came out the way it was always supposed to come out for this book, and so I'm happy. I'm happy I stuck with it. I'm happy it made it into this book, and um, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. I'm into it. I think it's good.
well, I feel like we have all of these in my mind. I'm thinking I've got all these gifts that I'm opening one after the other. I don't want to open them all up at once, but I have to tell you and get you prepared for this question. I want to ask you what it was like teaching, because you had mentioned you got to teach at MIT. So I'm thinking about, gee, you have all these captive students waiting to learn your secrets. What was that like?
No, I'm glad you asked about that. Yeah, so that was wild. I am not really a math or science person. Like I'm a fan, but that's just not how my mind works. And when I put out the first book, I heard about an opportunity to live at MIT, live in the dorms, and kind of be like a mentor for the students. I think the idea is to have people who have done different things just live with the students and kind of be there for them and talk to them and kind of talk about I don't know if like talk about the real world is the right way to put it, but just kind of just be there in sort of like a mentorship capacity. So I put out the first book. I applied. I didn't think I was going to get it because, again, like it's MIT, but they were looking for an art person. I got it. It was like the wildest thing in the world. I lived there. The kids who I lived with, I shouldn't even say kids, the students I lived with are genuine geniuses. Like I would be in the elevator and they would be talking about theorems and like things like that. But so I was there as the art person. I want to believe that they were into it. It was a little bit different from the things they were into, so I feel like I was a little bit of the I was a little a fish out of water story, but So part of the gig there was planning events and everything, and so I brought some students to, or I told students about. Um, so I'm in Boston, and the big comic show here is Mice. I let people know about it. I got people there, and a bunch of students went and really enjoyed it and said they had no idea that it even existed, you know? And so I hope, so I wasn't like teaching MIT classes or anything like that, but I hope that I brought some folks over to the dark side of comics, just kind of seeing that this kind of weird little subculture going on. But no, it was an incredible experience. It still seems surreal. It was for one school year, so it wasn't a super long time or anything. And so now it kind of feels like a dream. Like I was just kind of like, I did I live at MIT for a year? You know? But yeah, it was awesome. And it wasn't again, like I wasn't in a classroom or anything. I was just kind of more like in the cafeteria with them, eating lunch and like answering questions and helping them, talking about making comics, helping them with like just kind of life things. And I feel very proud of that happened because of art. That's a very strange path to take. And I'm here for it. I really enjoyed it.
Wow. Well, that's a really interesting way to learn. You're just like an embedded journalist, or
Yeah.
you never did a workshop. You never had a classroom. You were just there with the students.
Yeah, I was just there with the students, and like again, it was a positive experience. It was a little isolating just because I was so much older than everybody, and um, I wrote a bunch of I was doing comics all the time too, because it's not like I was like hanging out with anybody. I'm like 20 years older, um, and so I did a lot of material there as well, and it was such an inspiring, maybe inspiring in a bad way, because it was a little isolating just kind of being there. I haven't released any of that stuff. It was all real dark, but um, but yeah, no, it was just a very unique experience that I mean, like for a long time, it was like I cannot believe me drawing weird pictures in my room got me here. It was very funny, but yeah, kind of more of like a mentorship type situation.
Wonderful. Have you ever taught in a classroom setting?
No, it's funny you asked that because I have been thinking about that. I'm kind of slowing down. So for 5 years I did a page a day on Instagram, and it was probably not healthy. Like I kind of shut everything else down out of my life. That was the only thing I was focused on. It was like kind of, I don't know. So now I'm coming out of those 5 years. I've done a couple, had a couple books published. I have a third one that I haven't even started publishing or pitching yet.
Hmm.
Um, and so now I'm kind of thinking, what do I do with this? Like I kind of, I don't want to say sacrificed 5 years because I'm happy I did it, but it's kind of like, well, what do I do now? And one of the things I've thought about is teaching because I like talking about it. I'm passionate about it. And I actually did a panel earlier this year. This kind of sealed the deal where, um, what was it? It was Hourly Comic Day, where a bunch of or three cartoonists we did Hourly Comic Day, and then we got up in front of people and spoke about the experience. And it was the closest thing to actual teaching that I've ever had. And this isn't me patting myself on the back. I have no ego. I if something, but it was it went horrifically well. Like it just it could not have gone better. And
Oh,
like
I relate to that.
yeah, it was like a rush of just talking about making comics and the experience of doing the hourly comics. And then looking out into the crowd and seeing people, I feel like their pupils were dilating. I was like, oh, there might be something here. And then like it was like the like the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. Like I feel like when it ended, like it was just a wave of people talking about, who wanted to talk and kind of remarked on the enthusiasm and everything. And it was sort of such a new experience for me. And walking out of that and it was a packed house too. And then walking out of that comic shop, and all of a sudden it was just kind of quiet and still, and just thinking about like what just happened, So I've definitely got that on my mind. I work at an art school, so I've been kind of debating like, should I try to make a curriculum? Should I try to, I don't really know how to do this, but I do
Yeah.
have a weird amount of experience, real life experience, and obviously, I mean, just from speaking, I'm obviously very passionate about this, very animated. So I don't know. I've really been thinking about it, and the closest I've gotten has been that panel. But it's something. It's so funny that you brought that up because it's been on my mind for the past few months. Of like, I think that might be the future, but we shall see. I don't know.
But yeah, you can definitely knock on doors and keep knocking it. You if you want to do that, I'm sure you'll be doing that.
I hope so. Yeah. It's
Is
kind of a
there?
hustle. It's kind of a hustle. I've been looking into like just sort of being a like a college professor and you kind of go class by class and it's you might teach at a few different schools and everything because I didn't go to school for education or anything like that and maybe that's the next step but um I mean it would be a dream to do that but yeah it seems like a real hustle and making comics is a hustle. Everything's a hustle. I don't know.
Yeah, well, like we were saying before we started, there's I don't know what you'd call it, tricks of the trade, things you need to learn about how to pitch your pitch your work before it ever gets out into the world. Of course, there's always just self-publishing,
Yeah.
which you did, and but I guess what would you say to somebody who is sitting on the fence, wondering if they should bring their comics out into the world? What are the pros and cons of just self-publishing and going ahead and getting a publisher?
That's a really good question. I feel like it's important for people who want to get into this to consider it. Um, I think so first of all, I think that it's good to go in with realistic expectations. Nobody's making any money off of this. This is whether you use a publisher, whether you self-publish, this has to be your passion. You have to be sort of self-motivating. Nobody's going to do this for you. This isn't a way to make like this. You're not going to make a fortune. I have not crunched the numbers. I'm pretty sure I've lost money from doing this, but so the pros and cons. I think that if you self-publish, you obviously have more control of what you're putting out there. You can do anything, and just get it printed at Staples or FedEx or whatever, and put it out there. The downside of doing that, um, how are you going to get people to see it? Like are you going to use a distributor? Are you going to distribute it yourself? The assembly of it. Like this is even I'm not even thinking about like books. I'm thinking about just zines itself. Like it's work putting it together. It's work. You have to kind of know how to lay out books and everything. So there's a lot of work. But if you're willing to do it, that's great. Like you have complete control. All the money comes back to you if you're able to work something out. Not that everything's money driven, but just the cost of making it versus what you're getting back. If it works for you, that's great.
It helps.
It helps. It helps. And so the thing with the publisher, I've been lucky enough to work with a couple. I've worked with Birdcage Bottom Books and Microcosm Publishing. Um, they will do a lot of work, the non-creative work of
Hmm.
getting it into stores, of promoting it, marketing it. They will. What else? You get to feel like a little celebrity because you got a book coming out and you see it in stores and everything.
Hmm.
The problem is it's really, really, really hard to get something published. The vast majority, and I don't have the number, anecdotally, I'd say probably 99% of stuff that people make isn't published. And that might even be like, I might be creating false hope by saying 99%. Like, um, I've been lucky, and also the other thing too, I've been lucky enough to work with two great publishers. Some people have not, like you kind of, there's a, everyone wants to get published. And so, you just kind of sign everything away. And I have heard horror stories of, people just signing their stuff away to people where they just never, it ends up bad. So, um, I would say, I don't know. I'm very proud that I was able to get stuff published because that was my dream since I was a little kid. I got two out, and hopefully maybe I can get a third out. I don't know. But, uh, I don't know. I think that it's good to be realistic going in that this is not going to change This is not going to be a way to live. There's a very select few cartoonists who are living off this. Like you need to have another thing going. And I
Yeah.
remember hearing people say that and not believing it. If any, whoever watches this, just believe it. It's real. Like nobody is making their living off of this. This has to be something that you believe in and are passionate about, whether you self-publish, whether you do it, whether you're fortunate enough to do it through a publisher. You just have to be realistic. But I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm rambling at this point, but I think there are pros and cons to both. Um, I think I'm getting older, so I've really appreciated being able to work with publishers and work with like a team of folks who are wanting to get the book out and have relationship with like comic shops and bookstores and everything. It's a little bit. I always relate this. My only business uh, education. I don't know if you ever watched Breaking Bad, but
Yeah, I did watch some of it.
there's the point. You see them struggling to sell their product. They link up with somebody who already has like a system in place, and there is sort of like a okay, I don't have to deal with this. I don't have to deal with that. I don't, you lose a little bit um, in just sort of what you're getting back, but sometimes it's kind of worth it. I think it's worth it. Anyway, that's a really long answer,
No,
but
I know when to stop the water faucet if it were to get if it were to get out of hand. But um, yeah, I think people who do the workshops, they're probably just thinking of, I want to get my story out, and
yeah,
I want to do honor to my father or just this one adventure I had. I wish I could just put it down on paper, whatever it might be. So
yeah,
they're thinking about just the process of actually doing it, and that's the end goal. They're
I
not
love
thinking
that.
necessarily of publishing it.
That is such a pure goal to have, and I think that's such a beautiful thing. Yeah, I think there are a lot of folks who like comics and like, well, I want to do that, and that's maybe not the best motivator. But if you have a story that you want to tell and that's your means of doing it, that's amazing. And I think that that's the right track to be on, whether you self-publish it or pitch it around.
I think that's 90, wait, I don't know, maybe 90% of the students that go into these workshops, wherever they are, they just want to get their story completed. And then there's the 10% that are thinking about making it some kind of career. Maybe they
Yeah,
have an animation background. Maybe they already have some plan that figured out. Maybe they're at a school that specializes in comics. Maybe they're at SVA. Maybe they're at I forget the one in Atlanta. What's
yeah,
well, the schools that we didn't used to have that, but now we have schools dedicated to comics.
yeah,
And yeah, I think if I was doing that today, I couldn't help but want to take some of the more homegrown small class just to see what's going on. Because
yeah,
I've done a few of those just to see what people are thinking.
yeah,
Because that's what leads me to conclude that a lot of people, they're not thinking necessarily about being published, but there's always that small group, and then within that group, deep within those group, there's the people who have this master plan. They want to become superstars,
yeah.
and it's like Tiger Woods. Maybe if you've got all the things, all the ducks lined up, and this is your game plan. Oh, wait a minute, this is
Yeah.
scary. I think you are going to become a superstar. But who's thinking like that? A
I
few
mean,
people.
yeah, I mean, again, I'm 100% biased, but I mean, it's an exciting medium because there just isn't a real barrier of entry. Like
No, there isn't.
yeah. And so if you have a unique story to tell, this is the best way to tell it because, and you don't even like, I've read a lot of mini comics where like the art isn't quite there, but the story's so good that it stuck with me more than like an accomplished artist telling a story. Like it's such an effective way to communicate. It's just words and pictures. And I don't know. It's fun. I don't even know if people actually run into this or if this is just a talking point. But when people talk about like, well, I know superhero comics. What else is there? Um, it's such a strange or I don't know, just like certain people are sort of like married to a certain genre with comics, and it's such a weird approach. It's sort of like being like, well, I don't like painting because I don't like the Mona Lisa, you know. It's just so like narrow, you know.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like people I like how experimental people have been with comics, and I don't know. Again, you just kind of need a pen and paper. It's exciting. I am biased. I don't know.
Uh, well, let me. I'm just thinking, should I bring this up again, or because we could talk about this all day? But I would equate it with being in a band. If you love music, if you want to be in a
Yeah,
garage band, you're in a garage band. And how many people are thinking I'm going to be the next Beatles? There's always that small group within a group within a group that is thinking that.
yeah,
They're taking it dead seriously.
yeah,
We set everything aside. It doesn't matter. Relationships, family, it's to the band, and that's it.
yeah.
Now that's the
I may have had,
Beatles.
I may have had a little bit of that. I may have had a little. Where I thought like this is the best. Like this is gonna like just rock the world. It didn't rock the world, but
No, but I think you need to have that ignorance is bliss when you're
yeah,
young.
yeah,
You don't want to hear anybody's theories about what may happen. You are determined. You know you've got a story to tell that no one's ever told before. Even if they have, yours is unique. Your style of drawing is unique. Something about what you have to bring to the table is just going to blow everyone away. And it might fall short after you become more aware of what's out in the world.
yeah,
And it may it might knock you down a few pegs, but you'll become more aware of what you're dealing with, and then maybe you'll rise to the occasion. Maybe whatever you'll adjust as you go.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I think like some of it does have to come from kind of blind passion of
There you go.
I this is what I feel. It's gonna work out, you know, because again, realistically, realistically, it probably won't. You know, just for everybody putting there's too many people out there and everything. So you kind of need to have that. I don't want to say like false confidence, but kind of. I think you put it a good way. The sort of the ignorance is bliss. You know, this is what I want to do. I'm putting it out there. I know it's not practical, but there's something inside me that needs to get this out.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, that's what everyone's chasing. Everyone, whether it's comics, whether it's music, whether it's anything.
you need that kind of energy. So I mean, if I come from a deep art background, but I went in a little bit of ignorance is bliss, but also like I'm going to do it anyway because
Yeah.
I had worked for a few years and I paid my way through school, and so when I came into it, I was like one of the GIs from the GI uh, getting the GI Bill and going in they're older students. I was a little bit older.
Oh
Why
yeah.
and why is it so? It's okay. I'll be okay. I'm not. My expectations are at a certain level, but even that with that insight, when you get to the professors, their main goal is to tear you to shreds, no matter what. They're more vicious than the actual gallery owners are going to be later in life, because they're trying to prepare you for that,
Yeah.
supposedly. But they have their own issues. A lot of these guys and
Yeah.
gals, and so even if you go into it with a little bit of a hardened preparedness, you're never totally prepared for when somebody's going to slice you like with a knife
Yeah.
and see if you're going to keep at it. So
It's
you have to be ready for that.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I cannot tell you how many times I've been rejected, and it is heartbreaking. I've definitely developed a thick skin, but it's still not fun, you know, for somebody to kind of be like, ah, this isn't really what we want, you know. You're putting your heart and soul into something. I don't know. I think it sort of changed me in as far as like um my enjoyment of really I was going to say comics, but really everything because I don't know, it makes me appreciate how much work goes into everything. You know, like I feel like when at least when I was younger, like it was kind of funny to like make fun of stuff or be, you know, like what do things ironically and stuff. Um it takes so much work for anything to be pushed over the finish line.
Hmm.
And I think I've gained that appreciation through pushing things over the finish line. Like you are going to be rejected so many times. And I feel like it's almost to the point where like when you aren't rejected, when your work isn't rejected, you can't enjoy it because it's sort of like, well, wait, what's going to go wrong? And like, what's like, do they know? Are they seeing it for what it is? Is something gonna is the contract gonna get messed up? Am I gonna do a whole thing? But yeah, if folks are looking to get into comics, and I would imagine anything creative, like so much of it is rejection. It's such a bummer. It still bothers me. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that just goes with the territory. I
Yeah,
think you have to. There's two ways of two pa proven paths to beat the lone wolf, and you're not going to listen to anybody and just do it yourself, or you join a group and you have all these folks that'll help you, commiserate, provide necessary feedback, essential feedback, or somehow get a little of both. Because I don't. Sometimes I think that having a group can work against you because you can kind of reach this middle ground of a potentially mediocre support, and you
yeah.
never get anywhere. And if you're completely by yourself, you still need to support. You need to have you need to be as well rounded as you can be. I mean, not everybody can be. I can't think of his name now. The guy that did all those the Vivian Girls guy.
Oh, I can't think of his name, but I know who you're talking about. Henry Darger?
Yeah, you don't want to be him
Yeah, yeah,
if you can help it.
yeah.
I mean, but I mean, if I had Henry Darger here and was talking to him, I'd be very respectful, and I'd understand him. And now I'm really rambling, but
No,
uh, I, it's not healthy. Let's put it that way. You don't want to be completely a lone wolf in your
yeah,
basement all the time.
yeah,
But then you've got somebody like Basquiat, who was a lone wolf a lot of time. He mixed it up. He had like I think a good combination. He had the network of friends, but when he had to be by himself, he had to be by himself. And I think it's really what it comes down to. It's you can't being a cartoonist is it's not a group effort unless unless you're doing the inking, the draw, somebody's doing the pencil, somebody's doing the ink, a lot of yada yada yada. But a lot of cartoonists are auteurs. I mean, you do
yeah.
all your stuff yourself, right?
Yeah, and I think a big part of it is wanting, I hate to say this, but like I like having control over everything. Like it's sort of like, well, this was my vision for this, and I wanted to do this for the background and this for the writing. So I enjoy that, but oh my God, it's such a solitary thing. What helps me is going to the like cons. Like I go to Mice here
Yes.
in Massachusetts. I go to SPX and seeing people whose work I admire, meeting people for the first time. Um, it's like going to therapy, because we're doing this weird thing alone, and then we can all get together and talk about it of like, what kind of pens do you use? Oh, did you pitch to this person? Did you? And yeah, it sort of helps because it is like I will fully admit that I'm like a lone wolf. Like I think people have offered to like, hey, do you want to draw together? I'm like, yeah, and then I never do because I'm like, that's not how I work. I'm an artiste, but um, yeah, it's hard kind of creating that balance because at least from like I'm kind of envious of people who work as a team. I've just never been able to do that creatively. Like I
Hmm.
feel like I either need to be in control or I just completely submit to, like yeah, whatever you want. Um it's hard for me to hit that middle ground. I've always been jealous of it, but I got like the first cons I went to, it was like it was like my soul left my body where it was sort of like, wait, this person knows what I'm talking about, and honestly, so I work at an art college now, and everybody who works there is an artist, and that was sort of a similar experience where, I'm talking to people about like, oh, you stay up till 3 a.m., working on a project too, it's such a specific thing. It's very weird. I feel like civilians don't get it, but
Hmm.
yeah, that sense of community, I feel like it's very important, and it's hard to. I've been happy with going to the cons, but it's difficult to do because art's such a personal thing and such a solo. It's kind of a solo mission. I don't know.
It is.
Do you work alone?
Yes, and
Yeah,
I would say don't close any doors because I have done community related things or gatherings. I did a few 24-hour comics, which were a
yeah,
lot of fun.
yeah,
actually, I'm going to be doing something in August, and it's going to be very open-ended. I'm going to present my book and chat about it, but I want to leave the door open for folks to draw as I'm talking, and maybe we can share drawings, and they could even write if they wanted to.
It's amazing.
But and I just have my fingers crossed that I get enough people to show up. I think I will, but
Yeah,
basically what I'm trying to say is that it is a lonely, it can be lonely, but there's no two ways about it. If you want to do the particular type of a book, how else are you going to do it? You need
yeah,
to do it by yourself,
yeah,
and you can always share the results later and get feedback and all sorts of wonderful things.
yeah.
But you have to do the work.
Absolutely. Yeah. I know it was a big thing for me because all my stuff is very personal. So it's kind of it's I think that the joy that I get out of it is that like I can have a thought or I don't know, like a complex feeling or something, write it down on a piece of paper and then it's out of me, you know? And like I kind of don't see how that the collaboration comes into play there for me personally. I think it's maybe easier for other folks, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, I guess I mean a collaboration is a whole other animal. I guess
Yeah.
you would be sharing a drawing with the writer, and then the writer would say, "Well, could you maybe add this to it?" And then
Yeah.
maybe you'd say, "Well, what if we were to put a sparrow like, flying across the sky or something, whatever."
Yeah.
So that's a whole other animal. That would be you'd be talking about that if you had that more of that to draw from.
I think personally, and I've always been envious of this, and this makes me sound like I'm hard to work with. I don't think I am. I feel like I have like the reason I've done anything creative, whether it's comics or something else, it's always been in my life I can't do anything. Like in my you have to have a job, you have to be kind of like, um but when it comes to putting pen to paper, I can do whatever I want, and
Yeah,
and so I've always kind of shied away. I think I'm more open to it now that I'm kind of more relaxed, but historically I've been shy to um, any kind of input from another person because that's sort of my time to be free. I can just kind of do whatever I want. And it's weird, these two books that came out. It's weird that whatever I wanted to do are just these really sad stories. But that's always been like the thrill for me. Like this is when I can be myself. This is when I can say the things I can't say in my real life. I can just do. I have complete freedom. Like I think in another life I would have wanted to make movies or done cartoons or something. But like making, filming stuff, you have to wait for the right weather conditions or like people to show up and like animation takes forever and everything. This is something that's so immediate and it's like I have this thought, I need to get it down, now it's out. Um I don't know. I've always enjoyed the freedom, but I've also always been envious of people who have a good collaboration. So I think the grass is always greener. I'm always
yeah.
yeah.
Uh, Now, made sure to start by talking about your book because I noticed some podcast folks, they talk about everything else. They talk about their ailments. They talk about what they're going to be doing later that week, and then they never bring up your book. Uh, so let's get back to the horrors of being human. Where is it available?
Um, I not to sound cliche, wherever books are sold. I think so. It's been published by Microcosm Publishing.
Yes.
So it's I don't know what helps me more. I think probably getting it from their website helps me more. But it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I've seen it in stores, around me. I think it's in more bookstore. So Microcosm is they're publishing comics and graphic novels and stuff, but I think they're more of a trade, like their network is more of a trade publisher. Um, but I encourage people to try to order it from their comic shops, so they can get it in the comic shops. But um, yeah, you can just this is so lame to say this. You can just kind of do a Google search and find it,
No,
where to
that's
find it. But
true.
yeah,
No,
but
that's
it's available
great.
on Amazon. Yeah, it's on
No,
Amazon, Barnes and
it's
Noble.
great that you're able to say that
Yeah.
because not everyone can say that.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, no, I'm psyched about that. I've loved this is gonna sound like a diplomatic response or political response, but I've loved working with Microcosm. They have gotten the book in a bunch of different places and they've been awesome to work with. And I hope they make more comics. They have a few comics out there.
Yeah, I mean, for somebody who's just starting out who is a little trepidatious of approaching Fantagraphics or
Yeah.
drawing quarterly, Microcosm's been around for a long time, and they're dedicated to the more independent
Yeah,
creators.
absolutely. Like if you go on their website, it's just a lot of it seems like creative driven or yeah, creative driven works. Like it's somehow cohesive, but it's definitely like the author's point of views. I don't know how else to say. And they have a lot of zines too. So if folks
Hmm.
are making zines, that's a good place to pitch your stuff. But yeah, I've really enjoyed working with them. Um,
And what connection can you tell us about Birdcage Bottom Books? Is that just one portal where you can get the book, or what's your connection with them?
Oh, sure. So I put out the first book with Birdcage Bottom Books when my friend JT Yost was the publisher. Um, so we worked together for that whole book. He stepped down as the head honcho. I don't believe they've published anything else after that. I think that once the new folks took over, they were kind of more like in the distribution world. Um, but I forgot the question. What were we talking
Well,
about?
your connection with them, because I believe when we were chatting at Small Press Expo, you were you were connected with Birdcage Bottom Books for sure
Oh,
for
oh,
that
gotcha.
book.
I was watching the table because JT was a little bit still involved at that point, and but we always go to SPX together, and so I was manning the table at that point. And so I think I'm like I know the folks at Birdcage now, and they're great and everything, but my connection was more with JT, and he's since stepped down, but uh, no, I'm eternally thankful to Birdcage for putting out that first book, and yeah, I guess technically I was manning their table for that one year.
So, is there something I'm missing? Is there something you wanted to tell folks about what you're going to be doing? Maybe your schedule for the rest of the year?
Yeah,
Anything?
totally. I will be at SPX this year. I'll be at Mice this year. There might be a little secret about the Mice appearance that I can't say yet. Um, but no, I think they should check out this book. I think
Bring
I
it up again.
yeah. So I'm super proud of it. This is I think the best thing I've ever done. I've got the first book too. You can get either one. You don't have to read one before the other, but no, I mean, I'll be around. I got a third book. I think for things that are coming up, God, I need to pitch that third book. I have been so immersed in comics. I mean, lit for half a decade, to the point where once I finished the third book, I sort of just closed the file and just started living life. So eventually I will get back to it. I have a bunch of unreleased stuff too. So like things are still coming, but for now I'm kind of riding the wave of the horrors of being a human. Um, you
That's
know,
great.
I'm very proud of it. So I wrote and did this book, and then like a week later I started this one, and it was an exercise. It was a page a day, and it's wild to see how the art got better. And I'm saying I again like I have no ego. I'm not like pumping myself up. It's just it's like I feel disconnected from it because I didn't think anything had changed, but it's funny seeing that thing of like if you do something every day for like a certain amount of time, you just sort of accidentally get better.
Hmm.
And so I'm really proud of the second book. I hope people check it out. I should probably say what it's about. It's
Yeah,
about it's about a lot. It's a mental health book. It talks a lot about depression. It's the way I've described it. It's drawn happy but written sad. There's a little bit of a juxtaposition between the kind of cartoonishness of the characters and the hopefully the depth of the stories. Um, And so, yeah, I hope people check it out. I'll be at SPX and Mice. Just people should definitely buy the book and definitely buy like multiple copies of it. I think that would be great.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, I could ask you about what's on your radar as far as your reading these days. Is there something
Yeah.
that really's caught your attention? Something in
Yeah.
comics or
Absolutely. I have three that just, or actually maybe four that like blew my mind. And so one is November Garcia's book with Field Mouse Press, Complete and Utter Malarkey. Uh, it's so good. They are comics about her life, but her art style, her sense of humor, they are just, I mean, she is just off the charts talented. And I had the genuine pleasure of meeting her at SPX, and she is her comics. It's wild. But I really enjoyed that book. I enjoyed Unended by Josh Bayer. It's he is a very unique cartoonist, but he found an unfinished screenplay by his dad
Hmm.
and started just kind of talking about the whole experience of his relationship with his dad, the screenplay, and it's like nothing else. I think it's you know what? I don't remember the publisher, and I don't want to say it because that would be. But it's Josh Bayer Unended. It's so good. The other one, let's see, the other couple, um, Acting Class by Nick Dernasso. I think I'm saying that name right.
yes, yes.
Yes, it was something that. So I work at an art school. They have like a really good library, and I read it not knowing anything. It's a very deadpan sense of drawing, and it just goes in a really weird direction. But it was I was not expecting it. And then the big one, I think it's from Fantagraphics. It's called Monster. And I think it's Barry Windsor Smith, and it's the thing that he spent like I think he was working on it in the 80s or the 70s or something. And I think it was originally a Hulk story or something, but it's a whole different thing. I still think about it. It's disturbing. It's emotional. Like it's something, it was hyped up as something that was worked on for decades, and it looks like it's something that was worked on for decades. Like it's a
Oh, well
very
put.
worthwhile read. It's really, really good. But so those are my four. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I asked. That was
Yeah.
a very varied selection. Yeah, I think it's Desano, Nick Desano,
Hmm.
and he has a very
Yeah.
refined, stylized way of minimal stylized way of doing things.
Yeah.
And it's breathtaking. And it reminds me a little bit of what's going on with your work, because you have like this really keen sense, design sense for sure.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I feel like it got better in the second book. And also with the second book, I started using, so in the first book, I wanted to just use black and white. The second book, I started using patterns, but they're patterns from security envelopes. And I think that that like changed the style completely and just sort of, I don't know, gave it a certain level of sophistication I wasn't expecting, but yeah, totally free. Security
Well,
envelope.
yeah, I wouldn't worry about what happens next, because you could always go into doing prints, maybe
Yeah.
something in the art world, because that might just naturally happen.
Yeah.
You'll know. Maybe you're already doing it, and then you look back. Wait a minute, I'm already doing it in a way.
Well, they say like when if you want to make money at Comic Cons, don't sell comics, like sell prints, you know? Um, yeah, I'm pumped. And this unreleased third book that I haven't even like put out there, there's half of it is in color, if you can
Oh,
believe it. That's something I never thought I would really, I thought it would be like the covers will be color and the inside will be black and white. But um, yeah, I think there are a lot of, I might be getting into prints. I don't know. I guess I'm selling out.
no, you're not
But
selling out. Just a natural progression. I mean, it's just
that's true.
and people can feel it when it's real. So
Yeah. So hopefully, yeah, we'll see.
okay, well, I feel terrible saying goodbye. We'll have to do this again. And
Absolutely.
I'm not going to be able to make it to Small Press Expo this year, but
Oh,
I'm hoping maybe next year. And then once my top secret book, which I chatted with you about, when that comes out, I'll definitely be going. So,
That's amazing. Yeah, I look forward to it.
well, thank you. And
Thank you
thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Thank you. This is awesome. Really good to see you.